Alrighty, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. My name is Bojan Petreski. Today is November 30th, 2022. This session we'll be looking at setups as well as reviewing any trades that we've taken in the past together here on the channel. Let me know in the chat box if you've been here before. If not, if you're brand new, let me know about that as well, or at least where you are with your trading, so we know what the crowd is like today. And of course, this is for educational and instructional purposes only. We'll be getting started in just a few seconds here. All right, today we'll be utilizing TradingView for all of our trade setups. Couple things that we'll be doing today. We'll be looking at Forex. Awesome. Good to know. Thank you, Pedro. Appreciate that. I like the sound of that multi-account manager. That's pretty cool. We'll be looking at trading Forex and crypto today. A couple of different setups that we always utilize when it comes to trading these instruments, especially when we're trading them a little bit on the shorter term side. Not that the same thing can't be applied for the longer term. It's just a matter of personal preference, right? If you like trading short term, then that's you utilize one set of tools and one set of settings. If you like trading longer term, or perhaps get some passive income while in a trade, that's a bit of a different approach. Nonetheless, though, our tools that I'm presenting to you today, which are the auto UFOs and auto climate, which can be found at the link that I shared there earlier, tradewithufos.com/Boyan. That's the tools that we'll be utilizing today. And just to kind of show the website here, so tradewithufos.com. We have our apps, we have our courses and coaching, of course. And ultimately, if you have any questions or comments on this, please feel free to type it either in the chat box or actually on the website right here, where we have, different folks asking for different things. And not just that, but people from the community can also answer and get upvoted, as well as ourselves here. Got it. Awesome. Awesome. Great to know, Pedro. Appreciate that. Appreciate you sharing that. Um, the auto UFOs, not mistakenly named UFOs, right? It's because they do look like flying saucers on our chart here. You see them up here and down here as well. We have red UFOs, darker burgundy color UFOs, and then also we have olive color UFOs down below, and pure green here as well. The greens represent the buy unfilled orders. The reds represent the sell unfilled orders, meaning that there is a likelihood of additional unfilled orders remaining at that location, given the proper climate. Now, the climate itself is represented by this window down here. As you see, it says auto climate. Auto climate is, the closest thing you can relate it to is a trend signal. However, with a lot more feedback and information about the instrument that you're reviewing in the background. So for example, in this scenario, our auto climate is giving us a count, the typical amount of that count going up as well as down. So the standard deviation up, right? This is how much of an up climate we typically have. And it says here 8.44. That 8.44 relates to the time frame that this chart is on, which is the 4-hour time frame. So this instrument goes for typically 9 4-hour increments out of it goes up for 9 4-hour increments, right? Currently, out of those 9, we're on the second one. So on the second 4-hour increment out of those 9. So that means we are not late to this party. We are actually just might be right on time. And we combine a couple of different things, a couple of different elements when it comes to executing on these trades. The first and foremost that we say and we utilize right now is the fact that the climate is confirmed. And we see that because we have a thick blue dot down here. This thick blue dot represents that it is a confirmed up climate. So confirmed up climate because we have a thick blue dot. And the reason why that matters is because you ultimately need to ask yourself, okay, Adinda just got the email. Thank you. The confirmed up climate ultimately is what has to represent the confirmation for you trading in that particular direction. Because just because you're spending time in front of the screen, it does not mean that you have a statistical edge over trading that particular instrument. Maybe you should be trading something else at that time, right? And that's what, that's why I said it's, the closest thing I can relate an auto climate is a trend signal, but with a lot more information in the background that, a typical trend signal would not have. Okay. Now, given the fact that, what are the possible answers that you may have when you're sitting in front of a chart and you say, okay, well, the first question is, and that many people sometimes don't even ask themselves, is should I be trading this instrument? Yes or no, right? So the first question should be, should I be trading, right? And the answer is given to you by the auto climate here. It is a confirmed climate and it is not too late. And that too late, you can define it to yourself. I typically, myself personally, I don't trade if this current number exceeds the standard deviation number at all. So if this was currently on the ninth 4-hour increment out of 9, I would not be trading this instrument. Anything below that, I'm okay to trade it. All right. So that's something that's extremely important that you should be answering. And if you're not asking yourself that question, then maybe you should add it into your trade plan. All right. Question number 2. Which direction? Right. Same thing gets answered by this auto climate. Right. We are looking for longs. We have a statistical edge to look for long trades. Okay, and then of course the final question that we need to be asking ourselves is where do we enter / exit? Right? Now for that one, for this third question, we're going to end up utilizing the charts above here. So this one here and the one over here. All right, now let's get into it and answer that. I would say a little bit more of a multiple choice, multiple answer question, right? Where do we enter? Where do we exit, right? The first question that we're going to answer actually before getting into the upper charts here is utilizing the auto UFOs. We want to see, is there an obstacle to our current proposed trade? And that obstacle, we can call it an obstacle or we can call it a target, right? Is the first opposing UFO. The first opposing UFO from what we're currently planning on doing. We have a confirmed up climate, right? We have an up climate, so we're looking to go long. So the first opposing UFO would be the first red UFO, which in this scenario is this UFO right here, right? So that means our final target is going to be this 140.91 right here. All right, so that's our final target. So we already know where our T2 is. All right, now, if, for example, let's say we were looking to go long on this trade and there was a UFO, for example, right here, right very near to where current price is. That means, the probability of this trade working out might be lower, right? Because obviously we have very little space between the current price and the UFO where it's at right now. So now we know that our current price, that our final target is going to be at 149.10. So now we need to figure out, okay, where do we get in on this trade? And how do we figure that out? Right? So far, everything that I've said has been information that we've gathered from our proprietary and patented technology that we utilize, which is the auto UFOs, in a combination with the auto climate. Now, something that also you need to be looking at is if you're looking at one set of information and you're the only one that is looking at that, there's a very good chance, I'm not saying, barring some um, certain examples, there's a very good chance that you will be one of the few people in the world looking at it. So you need to combine with what you see in your proprietary software or your a trading system, if it's not a proprietary software. How do you combine that with something that, let's say a lot of traders around the world see? Because I think there's there's power in seeing what other people see in a chart and then interpreting that to your own trading plan and then executing on it. So how do we do that? We do that with a combination of things. The first one that we utilize is the 9 exponential moving average, which is right here. That's represented by this blue number here, 138,840. This is also, as you see right here, also represented on the 9 EMA, 138,840. We combine that 9 exponential moving average, which is a very common, very typical exponential moving average that should be available on any charting software platform, web app, mobile app, anything out there should have a 9 EMA. Okay, so we combine the information that the 9 exponential moving average is giving us with the auto UFOs and auto climate. How do we do that exactly? All right, we do that by looking at the current value of the 9 exponential moving average, right? And we try to combine and have it overlap into a UFO, like the one here, for example, where we see the value of 138.84 is inside of this UFO right here. All right. So that means this 138.840 is within the UFO itself. And that's what we want to see. We want to overlap. We want confluence of information. The 9 exponential moving average, a common indicator found on every platform around the world, with our proprietary and patented technology, the auto UFOs. They're in confluence. So we have the evidence that we're looking for longs, and now we have the answer of where do we get in, right? We have to get in where these two overlap, the 9 EMA with the auto UFO, right? The way we do that is the following. We take our auto UFO that we see here, and as we see, the auto UFO has these lines that go across here, and there's numbers and values on them. So 139, 116, the 138, 674. So we're going to utilize those as our entry and stop. Okay? Our T1, right? I mentioned that this one right here is going to be a T2. Our T1 is going to be somewhere around here at a 1-to-1 risk to reward, right? So it's basically the equal distance from the entry to the stop. So let's go ahead and set this up right now. And of course, if there's any questions, any comments, please let me know, Pedro. So if is locked on TradingView, it doesn't show on the Oanda indicators. How can we access it? If you just go to, so the auto climate, we do have it available for NinjaTrader, TradingView, and MetaTrader. So those are the 3 platforms it's available on. For TradingView, it is free to have it, and it's just a $8 one-time fee that you got to pay to get it activated on your account. So it's not an indicator that's readily available here. It would be an invite only script essentially. So once you pay that $8 activation fee, you get it permanently free and unlocked. and you'll just have to send us your username from TradingView. Awesome. Um, let's go ahead and set this trade up real quick. So we have 139,116. We have take profit, stop loss. So 138,674 is the bottom. All right. Now something that I also need to mention, because just because of the nature of the market that we're trading, which is a decentralized market, right? Forex does not have a particular exchange. It's a decentralized in nature type of market. We have to do some rounding to make sure we basically cater to the multiple liquidity providers and Forex exchanges around the world, rather, Forex brokers around the world, because we always know that there's a bit of a variance, for example, between Oanda, between FX Street, between, whoever the provider that you're utilizing. So what we do is something very simple, which is a little bit of rounding to kind of, as I said, to cater to all of those differences that we see. So in this scenario, we're going to basically round up to 11.2 here. So 139.12 is what we're going to round up the USD yen trade that we're looking at here. And we're going to add 2 pips so we make sure we don't miss out on this trade. All right, for the stop, we're going to round it down. So 674 becomes 67, and we're actually going to take away 5 pips. So this will be here. So we are risking 52 pips on this trade. And as I mentioned earlier, our T1 is a 1-to-1, so we just copy over the pips. Something else that is really powerful, especially within TradingView, is I like the fact that you can set, up to what time does this trade make sense. Now remember, early on I said that I will be taking this trade for as long as it makes sense, meaning for as long as this current number 2 does not exceed this 9, right? So essentially, in 7 more 4-hour increments, so 7 times 4 hours, right? This trade will no longer make sense for me to take, right? So that's in 28 hours. So essentially, 4 hours plus tomorrow, right? So we're looking at 12/1. This is 24. This is 24 hours at 6:19 my time. So I'm going to add another 4, and I'm going to round it up, and that'll be 11. So by 11 o'clock tomorrow, December 1st, I'm okay to take this trade, right? Unless the climate changes, right? Unless other things change in here, because if the climate does change, this is a very, it is a sensitive indicator to the extent that it, depending on how price moves, it moves with it. So this could easily become unconfirmed if there's, price changes or price fluctuations that the software understands and thinks that, hey, this is no longer an up climate because of, the software that's written on the back end. All right. But as of right now, looking at this, if there's no canceled climate, we're going to be taking this trade with an entry at 139.14. All right. 52 pip stop, 52 pip take profit at T1. And as a just rule of thumb, not necessarily because of any other reason, we always risk about $300 per trade. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and pop this on here. All right, so there's my setup here. Now, obviously, as I mentioned, we have a T2 that we have to set up, right? That's the one that's going to make the money for the trade, because trading at 1-to-1 is not necessarily the best course of action that you should be taking. But ultimately, it's going to be the T2s or at least the trades that end up going to T2 that are going to really grow the account. All right. So this will be 89. We take away 2 pips from the final target as well. And that's our trade setup right now for this one as well. We're going to go ahead and buy this as well. All right. Now, so ultimately for this trade, we're risking 2 times, right? 2 times 150, so $300. So we could make approximately 604. All right, so This looks like it's 604.80, right? So that's about a 2-to-1 trade that we're looking to have in front of us. Something that I like to do, so I keep myself accountable and I keep things very visual, is I like to have my charts kind of very clean when it comes to, what I looked at when I was looking at it, at what time. So I typically throw a vertical line so I know, okay, this is the picture that this looked like when I was analyzing this and I was, looking to execute on this. All right. And then we're going to take a screenshot to keep it even more visible. Documentation is king when it comes to your trading. Um, Definitely try to do the best that you can to document your trades. If you're trading a little bit more short term, this is the 4-hour setup. All right. Now, if you're trading a little bit more short term and you think, oh, there's no way I'm going to be able to keep up with this, right? My trades go in and out within minutes. Something that I've started doing for myself as well is just, either purchase or just utilize a free screen recording program that you can utilize, just a screen recorder, or if you want to, you could even stream it to your own YouTube private channel so that you can analyze it in the future and the information is not taking up space. Um, that way, that way it is not taking up space on your hard drive, not taking up too much of your processing power either. Any questions so far? So we got our first trade set up here. We know where we're getting in. We know where we're getting out. There's a few other things that we got to cover, and we also will be looking at a couple of crypto trades. I just want to give everybody a bit of time to kind of either catch up or if you have any questions to ask the questions. For those of you that just joined, a lot of the information that I'm presenting is available at the link that I just shared in the chat box, tradewithufos.com/Bojan, where you can sign up to get the indicators that we have here, which is the auto UFOs and auto climate. Auto climate is an $8 one-time activation fee, and you have it in perpetual um, license. The auto UFOs, we have monthly or yearly subscriptions. The auto UFOs are a patented and proprietary technology. I mean, you can look it up. This is not just something we're saying. I'm just kind of sticking with this dollar yen trade to see if this will trigger while we're still in the session, because sometimes we do get some of those that do trigger like that. Nonetheless, though, we'll get a notification from TradingView when this does trigger. I just want to actually do something here because a lot of times what ends up happening with TradingView is um, it'll cancel out my trade, my T1, because it's on the paper trading setup here. So our entry price we said is 139.14. Our profit is at 139.66, and our stop is at 138.62. And I'm just gonna pop this on here so we have it. And then of course we said this is valid all the way up until 11 tomorrow. So this also kind of gives you a little bit more visual knowledge, visual appearance to this trade. So okay, up until this point, I know that I still have a trade setup. If not, I'm gonna go ahead and if there's no questions or any comments, I'm gonna go ahead and switch gears a little bit, head to crypto land. For those of you that like trading crypto, this is it. For those of you that are still interested in Forex trades, if you have any comments, let me know. I'm gonna be able to get back in it and set it up. Sorry, it's just my phone is blowing up for some reason, even though it's it's set for it's set for do not disturb. So, but that's what happens. All right. That is life. All right, so Bitcoin up 2.5% for the day. It is in a confirmed up climate on the 4-hour time frame. And then here we go. We actually have an example of what, the limitations of the software and the knowledge of the trader that has to come in play. I'm going to zoom in a little bit on this. As you see right now, it says it's currently on the 9th out of typically 6, right? So you would immediately say, okay, this is it. We're not trading this because obviously it's past the point of this auto climate where we have a statistical edge. However, if you look a little closer, um, if you look a little bit closer here, you'll see that it's actually on 4 confirmed up candles, up dots, you can call them whatever you want to, out of typically 6. So it's on the 4th, not the 9th. This is just because the software limitation has to, the software has to count the candles even though they're not confirmed. You see they're thin dots. Thin dots mean unconfirmed. Unconfirmed climate. Unconfirmed climate, we ignore, we don't trade, right? That means that there's just no statistical edge to this climate being up or down. So right now it is on the 4th out of typically 6. So we are still good to go to trade this, right? 4 out of 6 is fine. So now where, right? We know we have the first question answered. Okay, should we be trading? Yes or no? The answer is yes. Which direction? The direction is to the upside. All right, now the first thing before we switch looking for the other ones is we need to see are the obstacles in front of us, are they too close or no? And we see that the first, this is where T2 would be at 19,200, quite a ways away. Although, Bitcoin does move in fairly large and over exaggerated moves. So, if some positive news out of somewhere breaks, this could easily be hit in one day, right? It's not typical, but it is possible. There are days where Bitcoin can, head higher by 10%, can go lower by 12%. It is something that is just that's the type of the market, and if this is not the type of movement that you would like and expect, then by all means, that's good that you understand yourself that way. Look for something else to trade. It's quite okay to say no. It is quite okay to say, you know what, I'm not trading this, even for today. Let's say this is moving way too fast for me, for my comfort level. I'm going to go ahead and skip and not trade this today or not trade this anymore because it's just not producing the results that I'm seeing with other instruments. All right. So now we move on to the next step, which is where do we get in? Where do we get out? And we answer that question by, again, kind of combining, looking for confluence of evidence with 16664 is the 9 exponential moving average that we have also shown here, also shown there. The line is there as well. So 16664. Now we look to our charts above and look to see if there's any of these UFOs that tend to overlap it. Now, as the name suggests, right, it is a moving average. Jesus Christ. It is an exponential moving average, right? An exponential moving average means it moves. As price moves, the moving average value moves, right? So would it be feasible to say that this, rally that we have here, this is very obvious and very easy to notice. Does this rally here where this UFO here is at 16,521 to 16,418, does it make sense that if price were to in fact come down, and given that the moving average is around this 660 area, right? Does it make sense that the moving average is going to move down and the confluence will in fact happen within this UFO? Does that hold, right? Does that make sense to you guys? I would say in this scenario, get hit here. Yes, it does. So we can go ahead and set that up based on the anticipation that if price were to retract down here, it will in fact move the moving average down and it will allow us to get into this trade. All right. 16, 4, 18, 3. All right. And we're just going to, typically we round this down a little bit just to make it easier. Same thing here. 16,521 is the entry. Actually, we round the entry up, so 16,522. We round the stop down, 16,418, and we take away 20. So this will be 398. No. 398. Wow, my phone is just going crazy today. 16,318 minus 20. Yep, 98, just like I said. I don't know why I was going crazy with it. Here it is, 1-to-1. Again, risking 150 bucks for the same trade. Now for this one, for the good until date, we're going to set it for essentially 8 hours from now, right? So that'll be November 30th. And it's 6:36, so 8 hours from now, it'll be 2:30. So that will be 3 o'clock when we round it up. All right, and buy that. All right, that's our setup right there. Now for our final setup, for our final target, our T2, we're going to be, again, 16,522. Take profit is actually going to be all the way at 19,200. Nothing to round down or up there. I don't know why it rounded down for 1 cent, but it's all good. We'll know that that's what it's supposed to be. And we're going to go ahead and buy that as well. And there it is. Our final target is up there. Now, last but definitely not least is what do? We document our trades, right? We have to document our trades so we know what we're doing, if it's working, if it's not working, you know, if it is working, by what percentages, and all of that. So let's go ahead and put the verticals here, put the vertical here, and put a vertical here. So we know what we're supposed to be looking at. And then, of course, the added benefit of what TradingView offers, right? So we can just go ahead and set this up as well, 16,522. We're looking at 651.1 for the target profit and same amount of ticks for the stop, 16,398. And we're looking at 16,646. I'm sorry. There we go. That's all. Like, that doesn't make sense. All right. So we're going to go ahead and set this up right now. And of course, we said that this trade is going to be valid until 3 p.m. So right up to here. And there we go. We got our setup. And the reason, again, the reason why I do this is because sometimes TradingView on paper trading, it'll cancel my T1 trade. And it would be as if I never placed it, which is a little silly. So yeah, let's go ahead and take a screenshot of this, right? We have our trade set up here. Everything's in order. So let's go ahead and take this screenshot right there. So 2022, 11:30. This is BTC for our setup. Any questions, any comments, anything at all, really. If you want to just chat and say, hey, you know what? This doesn't make any sense. That's okay too. Feel free to type it in the chat. If you're, you don't want to type it in the chat for everyone to see, you can send it directly to me and I'll reply directly to you just with the chat. Again, the reason why my team and I, and there's, Becky's on here, sometimes Jose as well. The reason why we present this stuff is to kind of show you another um, possibility or something that you could add into your trading. The reason why I utilize this software personally is because it's so clear, cut and dry. There's no subjectivity. There's no right. Like for example, when I have a trade set up and I execute on it, you don't see any different information from me on your end. I think that's fair and that's how it should always be. Because I personally have been in so many, quote unquote trading sessions with gurus out there where, they'll have the setup, they'll say the setup, and then the setup doesn't work. And number one, they don't even review it, right? Hey, this trade failed. But number two, they'll come up with some sort of a vague, you know what, I didn't like this because of this and that and this. And then you're like, well, why didn't you say that when we were doing the setup? you know? Well, see, there it is. You just saw it right here firsthand. Let me freeze this. Right? Order executed. It modified it, gave it the stops and the limits. And then it ended up canceling my T1. That's TradingView though. It's not, if you're trading it with a real account on TradingView, it may be the case. I don't typically execute on TradingView. I like the platform for charting. I like it for its convenience. But I don't particularly like it for execution because as you see right here. So right now what I have to do is essentially I have to close it at market if it reaches my T1. But nonetheless, the trade is in. The climate is still confirmed, right? And here it is, happening in front of us. Now, some things to bear in mind, as I mentioned, right? This is not me trying to make up rules. This is me trying to share with you how I trade, right? We said that this trade is valid up until essentially tomorrow. Now, that validity was for execution, right? Now that we're in this trade, the rules apply where if we have any change in the climate here, right? If the climate changes at the next candle that this opens, we cancel the trade, we close it at market, no matter where it is. It could be here, it could be here, it could be here, right? It doesn't matter. You close it at market, you document it as climate changed, close trade. What I typically do, and I still do to this day, is I actually walk through it still. For example, let's just say for the sake of argument that, this trade is just kind of dilly-dallying like this, right? And let's say at this point right here, right? So it's essentially tomorrow, the climate becomes unconfirmed, right? We're going to have a new dot here, and this new dot, instead of a thick dot, it's a thin dot, right? Just like this one here, right? Let's say that's what happens. And we're right here, we just close it at market and that's it. The trade is done, right? It's a small profit, no big deal. Small profits, small losses, they don't make or break accounts. They consider that as the price to pay to participate. Okay, now, but what I do is I actually document what would have happened with this trade if I did not close it at market at that time. So for example, if this trade ends up running, I'm going to document it as, hey, this is what I captured, this little profit, but I missed out on this and I missed out on, T2 way up there or something like that, right? I'm going to document what happens and over time gather that information and say, okay, given this information now, I see that statistically I have a, 65% chance to hit T2 even if I disregard the climate change, right? And if something like that happens, then you adjust your plan. You constantly try to improve on what you're doing, but not on the fly. You improve on it with utilizing, elements of screenshots, video recordings, data. Don't just, do things on the fly. All right. That's that for today, folks. We've been here for a good 45 minutes. Um, as I said, just want to take a few more minutes. If you do have any questions, if you do have any comments, please feel free to type them in the chat. If not, you can always email me at boyan@tradictive.com. Email is right there. And I will catch you next time. Thank you so much, everybody. Take care.